Today in X-O Manowar number 6, we finish the general.
You are now watching WhoDooTV.
Welcome back to WhoDooTV. I'm Hooser.
And I'm Jared.
Today we are reviewing X-O Manowar number 6, written by Matt Kindt, art by Doug Braithwaite, colors by Diego Rodriguez, and we have a great end to a great arc.
Oh yeah, I've enjoyed this one significantly more than the first one, and I loved the first arc. So this has been awesome, and I can't wait for what's to come.
Right? Before we go any further, we've read this book. We hope you guys read it. Put us on pause, come back. We'll be here when you're done, and let's talk about this book. Oh man, boy did we start off with the first two issues of this arc. The first one was kind of a little slower out of the gate, and number 2 was pedal to the metal. It went all the way, and it continues to keep going in such a fashion that it has just been great. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, Aric throughout this whole series has slowly been pulled away from his allegiance with the Hooser. You know, he's pulled into their army and he's sent on all these suicide missions, and he starts to see that maybe the other people aren't so bad, and maybe like the cause of the Hooser isn't the best. So that's where we start this book.
Right. He is navigating these different ethnic groups, may you say, or just different populations. He is just doing it with such insight that only somebody with that experience would know. And he is seeing some of these underlying agendas that all these other the Hooserians are having. And so he's wanting to join allegiance with the Burnt King. And this issue starts off with his team meeting up in his house with Junde, the Burnt King's daughter. Yeah, they're talking about these monoliths that are showing up that are driving the burnt people out of their homes and into Hooserian cities. And the Hooser don't like this, so they sent X-O Manowar, and that's how we got connected. And Junde gives them kind of a rundown of what they've seen. The burnt only have an account from children because only 2 children survived an attack by the monolith. They say it came and floated over this market, and it was like any other day, but then all of a sudden in a flash, these lasers are blasting everywhere, destroying everything. And by the end of it, all the burnt there were just destroyed except for these 2 kids. And during this conversation with Junde and his team, they kind of ask Aric about bringing more armors from Earth that can help protect them. And Aric lets him know that his armor is neither good nor bad, it's just the man that's inside of it that makes it. And he also lets him know that it is unique though. So he kind of spoke on 2 different ways, that my armor is like any other, but it's also unique. Right, yeah, they were asking him to bring more people, bring more armor. And he said, well, I can't really. So in Aric's home, after all this explanation, the group decides to make a pact that they will stick together, that they're going to be with Aric for this. No more allegiance with the general, no more allegiance with the emperor. It's Aric. Aric then goes to the cadmium capital that is currently being occupied by the Hooserians, and he meets his old friend Ironside there. Ironside's now this robotic tech cyborg, where only thing that looks actual humanoid is his head right now. But it's cool to see him and their relationship back and forth, because Aric is really trusting Ironside in a mentor manner, which is really cool. And I want to know more of their backstory with each other, it seems like. Yeah, it does seem kind of like Aric trusts them pretty much immediately. This was somebody that we saw in the first issue, and he's kind of been with Aric this whole time. And I guess he's kind of the only person that Aric has been with that hasn't tried to stab him in his back yet. Yeah, you know? Outside of his team so far too, yeah. Exactly, right. Exactly. So Aric and Ironside are meeting with Hooserian politicians to try to weed out some information about the monoliths. But during this meal that they're sharing together, a lot of the politicians keel over dead because all the food has been poisoned. As Ironside notices, he slapped the cup out of Aric's hand to prevent him from being poisoned. And out of the side come Hooserian assassins, and Aric immediately knows that this must be the work of the general or the emperor. So after Aric fights off all the assassins, he goes to the Hooserian emperor's palace to confront the general. So the general is a little bold when he's talking to Aric. He's not afraid to tell Aric straight up that he's behind the monoliths.
he says that the monoliths are going to be used to wipe out all the Azurian enemies, the burnt and the cadmium, and it's starting to work. And so it kind of pisses Aric off a little bit.
Especially when he says there will be no negotiation, and Aric lets him know, you're right, there won't be. And he kind of eats Aric's sword, literally.
Yes, absolutely. So the death of the general causes an attack by the monolith. It is shooting off its lasers in all directions.
And at this point, the team is ready for war, and Shanhara and its hold is on its way. I really think Matt Kindt has hit his groove in this book. Jared, what do you think about his pacing so far?
Yeah, at the beginning of this series, I thought it was really, really fast. But that makes sense because in Soldier, it's pretty much just all action. He's being sent on missions to blow up something, to find the cadmium president, to, let the troops in, to do whatever, and it's just action, action, action. But now it's slowing down a little bit, but it's still keeping the intensity, and I think that's really cool, and it says something about Matt Kindt's writing. In this one, Aric is now working a bit more on the political side of things, and he's making decisions and making alliances, and we're getting to know a lot more about the people in the land. So it takes a bit more time to tell this, but I don't think it's necessarily slowing down in the intensity.
Right. I really have to think that he has done a really good job of coming in certain things very slow, bringing in Aric and where he's at in his own personality and where he's at in life. And with Shanhara, he's brought that story in slow while still giving us some fast, action-paced story. And it's been, overall, a great pacing. I think this, right now, it's hitting its, what I would say, like the best flow of both. We're getting a lot more characterization and still getting those action points. So this book, this arc, I liked it a lot. Number 5 still was my favorite, just all of the art, the story itself. And then it just keeps going on to a good pace, and it's keeping my attention.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a book that every month I want to know what's going to happen next. It makes me excited to read this book. I just think it's a quality story.
Mm-hmm. It's been on the top of my pack every time. Each time on a pool, it's been the one that I want to read first. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I believe he ended this arc great. It really does set it up. It does feel like a new arc is coming. He's kind of, he's got his team now. He's got his group, and they're all allied with him. And it's not necessarily under the broad brush of the Azurian army.
Well, and then in this book, the consistency still with Diego Rodriguez doing the colors has kept a great tone throughout the book and very consistent. Even with the Braithwaite and Thomas Giorello change, it's still been very uniform. And that is something I want to give total props to the creative team on this. And then the art again on this issue was really good. Braithwaite did a very good job.
Yeah, I mean, some of the scenes in this are awesome. I mean, the scene where he's shoving the sword down the general's throat is awesome. I mean, it's just super cool. But I gotta say, there is one little detail that's kind of got me hung up here.
Might be the same one I caught.
Yeah. Well, what do you see?
Well, he's wearing the X-O pants, and yet the Shanhara comes screaming across the page in full gear with, so I'm pretty sure he can regenerate, and that's part of it. He's going to fly off in one piece, and that's going to fly off the top half. So I'm sure it's just Shanhara being able to regenerate the way he does. Yeah,
it's got to be that. I mean, I do kind of want to explain it away somehow, and not just see it as a mistake by Doug Braithwaite. It is a little different. I guess I have to think about it,
And I believe in previous runs, and even in the first arc, that Shanhara would actually be in a ball in its form. And it's weird that he chose Shanhara to be in the person form versus in his ball that he has been in previous issues before, that he's flying around as an empty suit.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. I mean, at the beginning of this, it seemed more like Shanhara was a bit of a tool to Aric. But now that they've chosen to make him the suit, make the interaction between Aric and the suit where he's in the suit form, it definitely does show that Shanhara is his own person. It's the characterization of Shanhara itself. So yeah, it's a really interesting choice.
Yeah, it does have them being two separate pieces, and that they are together bonded as one when they are full X-O Manowar, and there is Aric and there is Shanhara. Well, it's that time to score it. What do you think you're going to be giving it?
Yeah, I think I'm going to give this one a 4.5. It's a solid book, awesome art. Great story. The pacing's awesome. Just that one little detail that's hanging me up. They didn't offer a whole lot of explanation on the full suit itself. I guess that's just something that I'm kind of having to tell a story to myself about, and that's why it's not a perfect. But you know, I'm just picky. Yeah. What about you? What do you think you're going to give this one?
As the whole 3 issues for this arc, I liked them all. And then closing it out the way it did, I'm going to give it a 4.75. I believe Matt Kindt is putting those slow burns in there to kind of make you think a little bit and have some questions, and then to reveal it later the way he has been so far in this book. If you had questions earlier, a lot of them have been answered as we've gone, except for why he's necessarily there. And we're coming back into the recent divinity of that whole question of, was it the Stalinverse that got him there, or was it something else now? All in all, I enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the last one. The art number 4 was really good. So 4.75 for me, and that's pretty much what I think I'm going to be giving this whole arc.
I just can't wait for Emperor. I think it's going to be great. It's going to be big. I think it's going to be huge, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So what do you guys think? Why do you think they've decided to change Shanhara from a floating ball to suit form for this story?
Comment down below.
Hey, if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button below.
There's also that subscribe button down there too. Make sure you punch that. We'd appreciate it. Follow us at Twitter at WhoDooTV, also on Facebook.
Yeah, and we'd like to thank our friends over at OutrightGeekery.com. Be sure to check them out. They got all sorts of nerdy stuff on there.
Links down in the description. Thank you for watching WhoDooTV. We appreciate you guys.